The silent cancer trigger. How ultra-processed foods are damaging your body faster than you realize. What if the foods you eat every day, the snacks, drinks, and packaged meals you grew up loving were quietly damaging your gut and increasing your risk of colorectal cancer years before anyone expected? We're watching cancer cases rise sharply in people under 50. And scientists now believe one of the biggest triggers might be sitting right on our grocery store shelves: ultra-processed foods. These foods are cheap, convenient, addictive, and now linked to biological changes inside the colon that can begin decades earlier than symptoms appear. Today, we're uncovering the hidden truth behind ultra-processed foods and how they may be fueling one of the fastest-growing cancers in young adults. Stay watching. This might be the most important thing you learn this year. Everywhere you look, people are eating ultra-processed foods. Kids snack on packaged chips before school. Teens grab instant noodles late at night. Adults rely on microwave meals after long hours at work. Grocery stores are filled with boxes, wrappers, powders, flavor enhancers, and brightly colored snacks that seem almost engineered to be irresistible. And the truth is, they are engineered. Ultra-processed foods were designed for convenience, long shelf life, and addictive taste. But what no one told us is that they come with a hidden cost that is now emerging in one of the most dangerous ways imaginable: a sharp rise in early-onset colorectal cancer, especially in people under 50. Colorectal cancer used to be a disease mostly seen in older adults. Doctors assumed it was tied to decades of poor habits, genetics, or aging. But today, something different is happening. Cancer registries around the world are reporting a disturbing trend. People as young as 18, 22, 27, and 35 are being diagnosed with colorectal cancer at rates never seen before. Specialists are calling it a public health mystery. But new evidence suggests it might not be such a mystery after all, because the rise in colorectal cancer appears to follow the rise in ultra-processed food consumption almost perfectly. This is not fear-mongering, it's data. And what makes it so terrifying is how invisible this threat is. Ultra-processed foods don't look dangerous. They don't smell dangerous. They don't feel dangerous. They give us comfort, convenience, and pleasure. They save time. They save money. They're everywhere: in supermarkets, in school cafeterias, in vending machines, and even in so-called healthy protein bars or breakfast cereals. But behind the colorful packaging is a complex mix of chemical additives, emulsifiers, preservatives, engineered fats, synthetic flavors, and refined carbohydrates that our bodies were never designed to process. This video is not about blaming individuals. It's not about shaming anyone for eating these foods. It's about understanding what the scientific community is uncovering right now: that ultra-processed foods may be directly contributing to the rise of colorectal cancer in young adults. The more we learn, the clearer the picture becomes. Ultra-processed foods don't just cause weight gain. They don't just increase inflammation. They don't just affect your gut. They may actually trigger biological changes that lead to cancer far earlier than anyone expected. So today, we're going to break this down piece by piece. What exactly are ultra-processed foods? What makes them so harmful to the gut and the colon? Why are young people particularly vulnerable? And what changes can we make without giving up modern life to protect ourselves and our families? By the end of this video, you'll understand the science, the mechanisms, the risks, and most importantly, the solutions. Because once you understand what these foods do inside your body, you'll never look at that shiny package in the grocery aisle the same way again. Ultra-processed foods are not simply processed foods. Freezing vegetables is processing. Baking bread is processing. Cooking beans is processing. These are not the problem. The danger begins when food is broken down into its most basic chemical part: starches, sugars, oils, proteins, and then rebuilt using industrial processes that involve chemical solvents, synthetic additives, and food engineering techniques that do not exist in any home kitchen. UPFs typically contain emulsifiers to change texture and extend shelf life, color stabilizers to make the food look fresh, artificial sweeteners to replace real sugar with something sweeter. Flavor enhancers designed to hijack your brain's reward system, preservatives to resist mold and bacteria. Hydrogenated oils, industrially altered fats. Modified starches to change mouthfeel. Protein isolates found in bars, shakes, and meat substitutes. These ingredients aren't inherently evil, but they are biologically unfamiliar. Human digestion evolved to handle natural food matrices, fiber, nutrients, cell structures, and the complex interactions that real food provides. But when food is stripped of its natural form and rebuilt from isolates and chemicals, it becomes something entirely different. UPFs disrupt gut microbiome balance, intestinal lining integrity, inflammation levels, insulin and metabolic regulation. Satiety signals cell proliferation in the colon. And this is where colorectal cancer comes in. To understand why colorectal cancer is rising, we must zoom in to the microscopic level. Your colon is an ecosystem, one of the most complex ecosystems on Earth. Trillions of bacteria live inside it, many of which protect you from disease, regulate your immune system, and produce compounds that prevent cancer. But this ecosystem is delicate, and UPFs attack it from multiple angles. 1. Emulsifiers erode the gut lining. Studies show that emulsifiers like carboxymaltulose and polysorbate alter the mucus layer that protects the colon walls. When this layer thins, bacteria come into direct contact with colon cells. This triggers inflammation, DNA damage, overproduction of harmful metabolites, increased cell turnover. This cell turnover is key because cancer arises when cells replicate with damaged DNA. 2. Artificial sweeteners feed the wrong bacteria. Many UPFs contain aspartame, sucralose, or a sulfame K. These sweeteners disrupt microbial balance and promote bacterial strains that thrive in inflammation. These bacteria produce carcinogenic compounds, including metabolites that directly damage colon tissue. 3. Additives create chronic, low-grade inflammation. Chronic inflammation is one of the strongest predictors of colorectal cancer. Whether from preservatives, flavor enhancers, or chemical stabilizers, UPFs increase gut inflammation almost immediately after consumption. The body is never allowed to fully heal. For lack of fiber-starved protective bacteria. Fiber is the fuel for short-chain fatty acid SCFA production, especially butyrate, which protects colon cells from becoming cancerous. But UPFs contain little to no fiber, leaving beneficial microbes starving while harmful bacteria flourish. 5. High glycemic load feeds tumor growth. Ultra-processed foods usually contain refined carbs that spike blood sugar and insulin. Elevated insulin is linked to cancer progression because insulin-like growth factor IGF-1 stimulates tumor growth. 6. Industrial seed oils promote oxidative stress. Oxidized omega-6 fats found in UPFs generate free radicals. These free radicals damage colon cells at the DNA level, increasing mutation rates. The combined effect: a damaged microbiome, inflamed colon tissue, compromised immune response, and a biochemical environment where cancer can begin developing far earlier than it should. Here's the shocking part. The rise in colorectal cancer for people under 50 is not gradual, it's steep. And it perfectly mirrors the rise in ultra-processed food consumption among children, teens, and young adults. 1. Early exposure equals early damage. Kids today are introduced to UPFs before they even learn to speak. Baby snacks, formula, packaged juices, candy, instant foods. These disrupt gut development during the most important years of immune and microbiome formation. To adolescence, the perfect storm. Teenagers tend to skip meals, eat fast food, consume energy drinks, prefer packaged snacks over whole meals. This creates a long-term inflammatory environment that persists into adulthood. 3. Young adults rely on convenience. With busy schedules, limited budgets, and constant marketing, young adults often rely on UPFs as primary meals, frozen dinners, instant noodles, processed meats, and sugary drinks. This chronic exposure accelerates colon cell deterioration, For sedentary lifestyle plus UPFs equals accelerated risk. Low physical activity compounds the gut issues from UPF, slowing digestion and giving carcinogens more time to interact with colon cells. 5. UPFs replace whole foods. Every ultra-processed meal displaces real food that would have nourished the gut and protected against cancer. The result: a generation whose digestive systems are under assault from childhood until adulthood. Recent large-scale studies found that people who consume high amounts of ultra-processed foods have up to 29% higher risk of colorectal cancer, a particularly high risk among men. Elevated likelihood of early-onset colorectal cancer. Higher inflammation markers. More aggressive tumor progression. Another study showed that those who consumed the most processed meats and refined packaged foods had significantly higher rates of tumors located specifically in the colon. Not the rectum, suggesting a strong link between dietary chemicals and colon cell mutation. Researchers also found that gut microbiome profiles of high UPF consumers resemble those seen in colon cancer patients. Lower diversity, lower butyrate production, and higher levels of inflammatory bacteria. The pattern is clear, the connection is strong, and ignoring it is no longer an option. Doctors around the world are reporting heartbreaking cases. A 23-year-old athlete with no family history suddenly diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. A 29-year-old mother whose first symptom was mild stomach discomfort. A 34-year-old engineer who thought his rectal bleeding was due to stress. Many of these people lived modern lifestyles dominated by ultra-processed foods without ever realizing the long-term consequences. Ultra-processed foods have become normal, convenient, affordable, socially accepted. But normal does not mean safe. The science is clear. These foods are harming our gut, rewriting our biology, and contributing to the rise of colorectal cancer among young people. But we are not powerless. Small choices, repeated daily, can dramatically reduce risk. Your gut can heal. Your microbiome can rebalance. Your inflammation levels can drop. Your body wants to recover, you just have to give it the right inputs. Protect your future. Protect your colon. Protect your life. It starts with what you put on your plate today.